Hey, thank you for joining me today. I am Sandy, licensed marriage family therapist. And if you're new here, please hit the subscribe button so you can get new alerts. All right, so let's get into today's video. Hey, so today I want to talk about the chaotic, or otherwise known as the disorganized attachment style. So this style has experienced a lot of difficulty in life, especially in childhood, and in adulthood you see a lot of chaos, a lot of disorganization, perhaps addictions and mental illness perhaps, and inconsistencies. So let's dive into what the childhood looks like. So if you have this chaotic, disorganized attachment style, your childhood home can be unpleasant, really unpleasant, and the adult in this attachment style may spend a lot of time trying to avoid the pain of childhood. But in the childhood home, parents are often immature. Parents have probably been abused themselves and have little positive experience to draw from as far as relational positive experience. So they don't have a whole lot of skills in order to create a very safe environment. So in this environment, this parent may have a high need to control and a low tolerance for non-compliance. So the child may be expected to just listen without question, things like that. There might be consequences for lack of compliance. The parent may lack maturity, may be abusive when the child makes them upset or agitated. This parent may not have a well-developed internal self-reflection and self-restraint system, so it's very impulsive and reactive in this environment. There might be a lot of anger, drug use perhaps, alcoholism, inconsistencies, maybe unemployment, physical, sexual, mental abuse. Now, not all of these have to occur to create a chaotic environment, but probably 2 or more of these abuses will be happening. This parent is really prone to addictions because of their own painful past, and is likely to be preoccupied with numbing their own pain and then neglects the child. So as you can see, this environment is not necessarily conducive to raising a healthy, grounded, secure person. So the child's reaction to this type of environment is going to be overwhelming. It's going to the unpredictability of the parents induces overwhelming feelings inside of this child. So there might be a more severe attachment disorder than, let's say, the avoider, the vacillator, the pleaser types, because attachment in this home is connected with experiencing very dangerous and stress-producing connections rather than stress relieving. So internally, this child downloads a core belief that relationships are not safe, they're not a place of relief. It might be even more dangerous to connect with somebody else because maybe inappropriate boundaries have been crossed in the relationship. So as you can see, it's going to be confusing to the child because what's right is wrong and what's wrong is right in this environment. Over time, though, children tend to become very angry and aggressive and hostile, like maybe one of the parents, and then maybe another more sensitive child might go the other direction and become withdrawn, quiet, passive, and childlike, like the submissive parent in this relationship. The passive child is quiet, looking as if they want to disappear. They have no voice. They have little boundaries. They survive by learning to detach, disassociate, and numb out. I don't know if you've ever seen children that sort of just disconnect or kind of disappear into their thoughts. This child may be experiencing some trauma at home. Disassociation provides a mental escape, which the child attempts to remove itself mentally and emotionally from overwhelming situations, okay? Disassociation can be mild or extreme depending on how much the child needs to escape this situation. In more severe cases, disassociation can block memories. I don't know if you've ever heard of people saying, well, I think I was abused, I think I was sexually abused, but I can't remember. And this could be an example of an emotional or mental block in order to just continue surviving, because the reality of the memory is too painful to endure on a daily basis. So to block out the memory, to disassociate, is a survival skill. However, eventually it becomes a barrier to forming healthy relationships as they become adults. So, as an adult, this chaotically attached person will either develop a particular approach. Either they're going to be the victim in a relationship or the victimizer. Now, if they're the victimizer, this person tends to be extremely rigid, reactive, impatient, easily agitated, maybe easily threatened. Any hint of rejection will cause them to feel very reactive, or even and react in an explosive way. So they are very impatient. They have a low empathy for others. They have a hard time understanding other people's feelings. They might even have disdain and disgust for weakness feelings, and for empathy. They just can't do it. And the other approach is to develop into becoming the victim. So in order to cope with stresses of life, this person will allow someone else to dominate them, to tell them what to do. This does feel familiar. And so instead of rising up and asserting themselves, they feel more comfortable being the victim and, tolerating, certain abuses, verbal abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse, things like that. So very, very reminiscent of childhood interactions. And so it's very, very difficult for this person to be in a relationship. It's kind of all or nothing, chaotic, inconsistent, with all of the troubles from childhood now repeating itself in adulthood. So it's definitely difficult to overcome when you have these attachment wounds. Okay, so that's all I have regarding the chaotic attachment style. I do want to put out another video on how to best treat this or overcome these wounds. It's very difficult, I'll say that, but I will film that video and then go over ways to overcome this. Okay, so that's all I have for you today, and I appreciate you watching, and aloha.